morning, everybody, and happy Friday. Here at Studio 5, we are all about trying to find ways to improve our lives and trying to find the motivation to make those changes. And a young man from Ogden caught our attention for that very reason.
We first met Landon Weeks almost 2 years ago. But when you see what he has done since then, in the face of some challenging life obstacles, you'll feel inspired to follow your dreams too. As a young child, Landon Weeks was brilliant, articulate, and observant. There was just one challenge. Landon had phocomelia, a congenital limb deformity. In Landon's case, it meant his arms are less than half the length of normal arms. His fingers were fused and webbed and later had to be surgically separated so that he now has 6 fingers. And he doesn't have an elbow joint, but what he does have bends backwards. That meant that many of the things that typical kids take for granted would be impossible for Landon. He never crawled. He can't dress himself. He had to learn new ways to feed himself.
There are just times when I couldn't do something that other kids could do, so I just go home and just be sad about it.
All those can'ts took their toll on him. At times, Landon sank into depression with dark thoughts. Like how bad?
I had to go see a counselor for a while.
It was during that period of time when Landon was struggling that we first met him, doing, of all things, this.
We'll do it all, everything.
Of all things, Landon was playing the piano. This was part of a high school talent contest where we introduced several students and let viewers vote to see who would win $10,000 for their school.
Welcome back, and this is the big moment.
And then, during the grand finale, live televised broadcast where the winner was announced,
Guys, are you ready?
this happened.
After 44,000 plus votes, the winner, with just over 51% of the votes, went to Landon Weeks from
What's your reaction?
Just amazing. Best feeling of my life.
Best feeling of your life. I mean, really, sum it up for us. This is a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
It's still a big deal now, almost 2 years later. So this is the studio where we were. It was right about here. You were sitting right off over in there. What do you remember? What went through your mind when I announced your name?
I went nuts, and my mom did too. It was a pretty good day. Yeah, I was going nuts, especially after we left the studio. It was a crazy night.
That moment changed Landon's perspective and changed his life. On a scale of 1 to 10, how was life like before the contest?
Probably like a 4, 5,
What is life like after the contest?
like a 9, 9.5, maybe 10.
Since the contest, he's performed with Paul Cardall. He's been profiled on CNN. He's asked to speak at assemblies around the state. In fact, he's booked out into next year. He even produced this video of him playing and singing, and he was contacted by America's Got Talent and asked to audition. This is a whole new Landon. Physically, you're still the same person you were before, so what's changed, do you think?
Probably just like my mindset on like how I can do things better and like more, and just keep going.
When he speaks and plays the piano, there are more than a few tears shed. One woman confided him that she had been depressed over the death of her husband, but Landon's message changed her mind about taking her own life. He gets those life-changing stories frequently. This kid, who was bullied and struggled with depression, is now a hero.
When I see my arms,
He sings this parody about his perfect arms.
change, 'cause they're amazing, just the way they are.
It's no longer a story about what he can't do, but what he can. He not only earned the 21 merit badges to be an Eagle Scout, he went on to earn every merit badge the Boy Scouts offer, 134 of them. He's the first physically disabled scout to ever do that. At Disneyland, he earned a special award when the judges saw him accompanying his school choir on the piano. And school kids all get a kick when he shows them, since his elbow's on the inside, he can lick his own elbow, something even they can't do. What's the moral of that whole story?
Just never give up. You can do anything.
I am strong when I am on your shoulders.
It's a lesson Landon has learned, a lesson he lives. It's a lesson his mom simply calls Landon's Miracle.
You raise me up to more than I can be.
What an amazing story. What an amazing kid.
It's inspiring to watch that story and to hear his story.
And I imagine from your perspective, you first interviewed him 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So fast forward to now, we're in the present, obviously. What's your takeaway? Is he different now than he was back then?
You know, he's not different at all. His arms are still the length. His finger, he still only has 6 fingers. He wasn't able to change that by winning the contest. But he himself has far more confidence. He's outgoing. He's in the Oklahoma production. They're musical. They're doing it at Bonneville High School. So he auditions for things, and he's asserted himself, and he feels more confident with who he is.
Awesome. And you sense that.
Yes, you do. He's happier. You can see him smiling, just the way he smiles and laughs about things.
Well, and it appears he's really motivated people. I mean, he's really touching people through his lectures and just through his example.
The story you heard about him with the woman who was thinking about taking her life, there's another story, a kid who was in elementary school, who was in a wheelchair, who was handicapped himself, and was often down on himself and never smiled about stuff. And they said when Landon came to do a performance in assembly, the kid was glued the whole time. He smiled the whole time. He was happy, and he came up to Landon afterwards and thanked him for coming and said that he was going to change his own attitude as well and be happier about life.
And there's some questions about physically how he does this. I mean, people might be curious as to know, I mean, just physically, how does he execute the music that he makes so beautifully?
Yes, when he gets the music, he has to readapt then and say, okay, which notes am I going to, I can't play 8 notes because I only have 6 fingers. So he has to leave out certain notes, and he has to sort of recompose it. And then when he goes and performs, he can't bring all this equipment in. I think his mom is sort of the unsung hero in this story. She touches me. She, I think, orchestrated to make moving masses to vote for him, to make sure that he won that contest, to make sure that that miracle would take place. She accompanies him everywhere. She's always there with him. She's behind him. I think it's an example, sort of a lesson for parents out there. If you yourself aren't necessarily needing that motivation, maybe your kids are. Maybe you need to do whatever you need to do as a parent to make sure they will succeed, and they'll get that motivation. They'll get the ball rolling, that they can have their own miracle in their life as well.
And so many lessons. I mean, you think of the kids out there, those 2 little words, I can't, are put in a whole new light when you consider Landon and his miracle in his life.
Yeah, he used to always say those, I can't, and now he literally says,
awesome story.
I can.
Awesome story, Darren.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
We'll let you know, of course, if you want to follow more, you can follow Landon. He has a Facebook fan page. You can find out more on that. You can contact him through that as well.